Joining me once again, and for one of the final times during this year's Indian Premier League, it's Chetan Narula in New Delhi. Hello, Chetan.
Hi, John.
Well, we had a weekend of high drama, didn't we, as the group stages drew to a close. Chennai just about did enough to sneak through. It wasn't their destiny wasn't in their own hands. Mumbai and Delhi looking very good, and Deccan turning into party poopers, beating Rajasthan and Bangalore.
Well, yes, Deccan Chargers. Let's start with them. It's been an intense 6 weeks of IPL league stage. It's gone down to the wire till the halfway mark of the stage. There were 8 teams in the fray, and then till the last week of the league stage, there were 7 teams in the fray. Deccan Chargers not so much. They were the punching bags of the entire competition, but they punched above their weight in the last week, in the final week, when they have beaten both Rajasthan and Royal Challengers Bangalore. I mean, John, we have talked about this before. I mean, any team that loses to Deccan Chargers in this year's IPL, I mean, no offense to them, but they have been a very, very poor team. They've only lifted themselves up in the table because Pune have played worse cricket than them, and of course, Pune have finished 9th now, and Deccan Chargers, two victories for Deccan Chargers has lifted them to the 8th spot. So, in a bit, yes, I mean, any team which loses to both Deccan Chargers or Pune Warriors, it's a bit difficult to see them come back and challenge. And Bangalore and Rajasthan, made those mistakes in the last week of the competition when it actually mattered. So, a bit of a disappointment for both Bangalore, probably more for Bangalore because they were in the hunt till the last day. Rajasthan were knocked out early on when they lost to Deccan. But again, you need to win these games against the poorer sides in the competition, and no regrets there for Deccan Chargers, who have bounced back, winning 2 more games. And as for the rest of the teams, yes, it's been quite an enthralling week actually. Mumbai Indians finishing 3rd very early in the week. Delhi Daredevils and the Kolkata Knight Riders sealing their 1st and 2nd spot. It's been Chennai, I think, who've been the real winners. I mean, they started the week with just 1 match in hand, and they were on 17 points, and they were in 4th position, and they needed to win that match, and they needed other factors around them to go in their favor. They lost that match, and despite of that, they are still in 4th with 17 points. So, things cannot get more luckier than that. And the big losers, I can say, are Kings 11 Punjab, and they had 3 matches in hand. They were very well placed to go into the next round and, win all 3 or even 2 out of 3 and still make life miserable if they had won 2 out of 3, Chennai Super Kings with 17 points would have been knocked out because Kings 11 would have gone through with 18 points. So a bit of a mess up there from Kings 11 Punjab. But then that's cricket, and it's a funny game. So we now have our 4 teams for the playoffs.
Now, let's just reflect on the flip side, because for all the fantastic cricket you mentioned there, we have had quite a few bad news stories hitting the IPL in the past week. We've had things like spot fixing and other misbehaviour, team owners getting involved in the headlines. Without going into detail of specific cases, because we certainly wouldn't want to jeopardise any ongoing legal cases, what do you think the impact of all of this is to the image of the IPL?
Well, it certainly has hurt the image of the IPL. I mean, there's a lot of talk about the IPL now, and it's not just about the on-field action. It's about what's happening off the field. I mean, these are activities that you do not ever want associated with any sporting tournament. And it's in the last 4 seasons we've had so many things which have been going on and on and on about the Indian Premier League. I mean, so many fracas have been happening around the IPL. I mean, this was the first time for 5 weeks. It was the first 5 weeks. It was just about the cricket. I mean, the matches were so intense, the competition was so good, the crowds were coming in. No one talked about anything else. And in just 1 week, the tables have been turned. I mean, you talk about the sting operations, although they have not revealed any particular cases of spot fixing in the IPL. Yeah. But then you cannot ignore that, corruption and greed can breed anywhere. And it's a bit of a watching game that the BCCI needs to play now, because the domestic players especially are actually prone to this greed and corruption because of the disparity in the payments that they get, because they are not allowed to take part in the auction. Their names are not part of the auction. However, the international players, even with 1 international cap, or the domestic players from outside India, they are put into auction and they get higher prices. So this is something that the BCCI needs to look at. And of course, we had a small matter of Shah Rukh Khan having a bit of a fight with the Mumbai Cricket Association. These things happen. I thought the Shah Rukh Khan incident was blown out of proportion a bit. Things could have been handled in a much better way. The MCA was in a bit of a hurry to impose themselves. Of course, we don't really know the truth of allegations against the Kolkata Knight Riders team owner. But yes, again, these things are undesirable. The sting operation, well, you do not have any control over such things. But again, the second incident should have been better handled.
Okay, well, let's get back onto the cricket on the field, and let's have a quick look ahead to playoff week. We start off with Delhi Daredevils taking on Kolkata Knight Riders. That is a mouth-watering clash between the two sides that really have been, for me, the class of the field so far.
Well, yes, they have been the best team out there so far. I think Kolkata have come a close second. But focusing mainly on Delhi, I think there's a bit of a disadvantage to them because they're now going to a part of the country where the wickets are a bit slower. We've seen in the last game the wicket at Pune was slow. Wickets certainly in Chennai are slow. What they have played in Kotla and Dharamshala, I mean, these are, Kotla is not traditionally fast, but this year it's been very good with good bounce, good pace. And then you saw at Dharamshala what the Delhi Pacers could do. So yes, a bit of a change of conditions for Delhi. They struggled a little bit in these conditions earlier. They lost a couple of matches in consecutive matches before. I think it was the fourth week. I think they lost to Chennai. That was one of the teams. I don't remember the other team, but yes, they lost a couple of matches in the latter half of the tournament. So Delhi, it could be a bit of a disadvantage to them. You never know. But their batting is the key. I mean, it's not about the bowling. Their batting is the key. They have four good names in the side in Virendra Sehwag, in Mahela Jayawardene, and Ross Taylor and David Warner. So these four men have to fire. And, that's what makes Delhi vulnerable as well. I mean, if you get these four batsmen out for cheap, and Delhi won't know what hit them. So the matches against Kolkata Knight Riders, I think we should talk about them as well a bit. I mean, their spin attack is pretty awesome. I mean, you have Iqbal Abdullah, Sunil Narayan, Yusuf Pathan, and Shakibul Hasan, who's also playing now. So they're playing at Pune, and then they go and play at Chennai if they win the match. So what is applicable to Delhi is also applicable to Kolkata Knight Riders, but in a bit of a different way. That it might just play to their strength because we've seen how they beat Pune Warriors. This is a team that has been defending scores like 130, 140, 150 with great consistency in this particular IPL. And batting actually does win you games in T20 cricket. But if the bowling is so strong, the conditions are really party to you, then the bowlers come into a bit of their own. I mean, it's not like Malinga who comes in and bowls 4 overs. It's a lot more than that. I think 4 spinners on turning tracks is very, very difficult to get away. And 130, 140 becomes 180, and that is the strength of Kolkata Knight Riders. So the conditions might just be in favor of Kolkata Knight Riders and not Delhi Daredevils so much.
And then, of course, we've got Mumbai Indians taking on Chennai Super Kings. Chennai, as we've mentioned, sort of limped into the playoffs. Mumbai have had sort of an up and down season, but they have put together 2 or 3 good performances right when it matters. So which team would you make favourites for this one?
Well, this is a bit of an unpredictable game. Both these teams have performed. As you said, their performances have been up and down, up and down. I'm not really sure if they even deserve to be there in the playoffs, but they have made it, so probably they do deserve it. But yes, you cannot really predict. I mean, they won Mumbai Indians won the last game against Rajasthan by 10 wickets. No one could have predicted that. I mean, they have had so many opening partnerships. You cannot predict who's going to open with Sachin Tendulkar. And here comes Dwayne Smith for his first opening partnership with Sachin, and they scored 163 for no loss. So it's a bit of an unpredictable thing going about Mumbai Indians. It might be just a good thing because Chennai Super Kings, they got in very luckily. 17 points. We discussed how they needed to win that game and have other things go around them. So it's been a bit of a luck that's carried them through. Chennai have played some poor cricket, not the champions like cricket that we have known them for all these 4 years. It's going to be an interesting match. It's going to be a tough match. Both teams have their advantages, disadvantages. I would say the pitch is on a bit of a slower side. Might just favor Chennai Super Kings a bit more than Mumbai Indians. They are an attack that's based more on their medium paces, Lasith Malinga, Kiran Pola, RP Singh. Chennai have their slow bowlers. So I think this is a much more even contest than the first matchup, Delhi Daredevils and Kolkata Knight Riders. That's batting versus bowling. This is, I think, both teams match up equally in terms of performance and resources. So an interesting matchup here also.
And right back at the start of the competition, Chetan, if I remember correctly, you were favouring the Kolkata Knight Riders. Are you going to be sticking with them as we enter the final furlong?
Yes, I will stick with Kolkata Knight Riders. As I mentioned, they have a four-pronged spin attack. They have a decent batting lineup. Yusuf Pathan has not fired so far. He has two matches. Potentially he has two matches. And he might as well have three matches, but you never know. So if he hasn't fired, he might fire, and if he fires, then they won't need the bowling. And you have Jack Callis, Ben McCallum, Gautam Gambhir. They have been there and thereabouts, but it's the bowling attack. Those four spinners are the key to winning this year's IPL. And yes, I'm going to stick to my guns. It's Kolkata Knight Riders for me.